the right time for Right Time Radio. I'm Tom Bruno.
And I'm Lynn Donovan.
Welcome back to Right Time Radio every Friday morning, 10 o'clock a.m. on KRLN. Thank you, Carrie, for producing this show and letting us be hams, I guess.
No problem.
So Lynn and I are really excited. We're going to blow the surprise right away. If we've been doing a little teaser on Facebook, like, who are the authors of the month?
Yeah,
well,
who are they?
It is.
Tell us.
It's us.
Oh, it's us. That's right.
It's so exciting. So we're featured over at Kaleidoscope on the corner of 6th and Main Street in Canyon. Mm-hmm. And so we'll be there tonight at 5 o'clock to sign all those books for you guys. We're going to have several books, right? You've got a bunch of them right here in the studio, I see.
I do. I have the first book of several series that I wrote, and so I actually brought them so I could remember the titles. You know, I have so many, I forget what I have. She says with a hair
She does.
toss.
She's actually got over 40 books published.
Yeah,
so,
I do. But I don't have that many
come see this famous
paper books,
author and.
So.
Well, yeah, you don't have that many.
So I've got Java Masterpiece and Java Break from my Java Cupid series. I'm going to have Phantom Mystery from the Phantom Horse Bridge series. I've got Wanted Gunsmith from Silver Pine series. The Blacksmith's Daughter from Gunther City Mail Order Bride series. And two of my space opera books, Fertility Pirates and Cloned Chaos. So I'm going to have all
and they're
those
better
books.
than Star Wars. Way
Of course
better.
they are.
Yeah.
I'm going to have those books at the book signing, and you can purchase them, and I will sign them with my very own little autograph. And interact with you guys. I just want to meet everybody and have a good time. I think they have food. They have all kinds of stuff.
Usually they have free food, yeah. So come for the free
And
food.
don't forget to shop.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Lots of fun stuff.
Kaleidoscope is a really neat concept. They promote local artists of all kinds. Mm-hmm. That's what we're trying to do here, too. That's why we have so many illustrators here that would come and talk on their show. No. All right. So the two books I'll have there, actually, I just will have two. I'll have the first book of our series and my first other published book, which is Sparks of Revolution.
Good. He remembered this time. Last time I forgot. I apologize to you, Tom. I could not for the life of me think of the name of your book last week.
No worries. All right. Both everything's available on Amazon. But what we're really excited about for this show is that the ongoing series, we're 4 books into the Beyond the Veil series.
Yeah.
And our authors are going to be calling in starting at 16 minutes after the hour. They're going to be calling in from all over the country and having a 13-minute time period where they're going to read a little excerpt from their books. Yeah. So hopefully all our technical stuff will go great, and you'll hear some really good teasers.
Yes.
If you like watching trailers like I do, I think it'll be really fun.
Exactly. It's a lot of fun. This is a great series. I absolutely love this story, if I do say so myself.
It is fun.
And it's different because it's romance and fantasy and sci-fi all meshed into one
and why not?
story.
I mean,
why not? It's fun.
That happens in real life.
It does. In your mind.
So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the concept of the book series in case this is maybe your first time tuning in. Beyond the Veil is the concept is that a very scientific facility has moved into the remote mountains of Colorado, and they are conducting experiments in quantum entanglement. The first experiment goes wrong, and there might be something behind why it goes wrong, and it actually opens a veil between two worlds, our world and another that is very mysterious, and creatures start coming through that veil into our world. Those creatures, Lynn, they have come from a world that does not have love. It has been banished from their entire existence. It's ruled by a very
sad.
I know, wouldn't that? Love makes the world.
Where'd you get the inspiration for that?
In the shower.
He did.
Oh, did you mean like
without
what?
love, the world without love?
Tom has a magic shower where he gets these amazing ideas, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I'm hoping for a Christmas present that one of our recent authors, was it Leslie? Leslie Sartor
Yes.
suggested is a writing utensil
Paper,
inside the
wasn't it?
shower.
It's like
So,
waterproof paper or something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
So for all of you that just look up on Amazon for that too.
Can you write and talk at the same time?
Poorly, yes.
Can you write and take a shower at the same
Can
time?
Can I finish while you guys are talking?
Oh, yeah,
No.
go ahead.
Okay.
We've got 3 minutes till our first author calls
Okay,
in.
so this remote facility has got these creatures coming through. They're, obviously a security nightmare, but these creatures, because they haven't seen love, now they're attracted to it. They can sense romantic energy, just like I can.
Ooh.
Anyway,
Ooh, that's neat.
so they're attracted to these different couples that are starting to fall in love, and some of them are belligerent towards love, and some of them are kind of like, what is this? And some of them are enhancing the love affairs. So each one of these little excerpts kind of talks a little bit about those things, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And they are definitely teasers. They're like watching trailers for movies.
Correct, they are.
Fun.
All right.
All right, so should we take our first break so that we're ready when they call?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do that.
All right.
Okay.
You're listening to
Carrie.
Right Time Radio on 1400 KRLN. We'll be right back.
Hi, this is Pastor Mike Wooldridge from Living Word Foursquare Church, inviting you to listen in to our new program called The Living Word on 1400 KRLN at 9 a.m. every Sunday morning. Our messages and lessons are right out of the Bible. We are a non-denominational church who believes in the written word. Join us for Sunday worship and fellowship at 10 a.m. at 1710 Mariposa Road in Canyon City. And tune in every Sunday at 9 a.m. to 1400 KRLN.
Three Links Apartments are committed to providing quality independent apartment living for age 62 and over and disabled individuals who qualify. Spacious one-bedroom and studio apartments with emergency pull cords located near the hospital. Three Links Apartments are HUD subsidized, so rent is based on income. For more information, call 269-9134 or visit them at 1300 North 15th Street in Canyon City. Complies with Federal Fair Housing Act and Equal Housing Opportunity. Three Links Apartments.
Star Country 104.5, playing a better variety of country and leading the way in high school sports coverage. Proud to bring you live coverage of high school basketball 2020.
Seconds on the clock. Aragon kicks left side. Caparici. Another three. Way downtown. Twitch. Another Stoner's Rock block three.
And our live coverage continues Tuesday when the Pueblo East Eagles travel to Lewis Palmer to take on the Rangers. Our pregame show begins at 6:40. Catch it online at network1sports.com and Star Country 104.5.
Hey, we are back with Right Time Radio, and we are now going to talk to one of our authors. His name is Travis Perry. Good, Happy New Year, Travis.
Happy New Year, guys.
Hey, Happy New Year. How are you doing?
Yeah, we're great. Now, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Wichita Falls, Texas.
Ah.
North Texas, about 20 miles from the Oklahoma border.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
Great country
Quite
of Texas.
About
Right.
about 8 hours away, I guess.
right, a little
Where
ways
we
to
are.
drive, yeah.
Okay, well, Travis Perry is one of our authors in the Beyond the Veil series, and he wrote Entangled with a Fawn. His couple is Robert Spencer, who is a librarian, and Sheriff Lucy Spotted Wolf, who is obviously the sheriff. And we'll talk to him more about how he chose those characters. And his fantasy creature is a fawn. And so we'll talk to him about that in a little bit, too. So, Travis, are you ready to read your excerpt?
And this is from
Sure am.
book 4.
So, to introduce it at all, or, well, anyway, let me just say that this is shortly after Robert and Lucy meet in my story.
Okay.
And then it'll start in a context, and you'll figure out the context.
All
so,
right. And this is book
anyway,
number 4 in the series. And take it away, Travis.
Okay. No fantasy at all, not even a popular movie like The Princess Bride. Robert's eyes widened in surprise. Nope,
I'm afraid if I get any clue a story has fantasy in it, I don't watch. I even avoid most superhero movies. Really? Wow, that's very unusual. That's how much the ending of Narnia affected me. I figured real life has enough troubles. I've certainly seen enough. I don't need to make myself cry over things that don't even exist. He smiled with empathy, though his eyes were still widened in surprise. Well, I'm very sorry the last battle had that effect on you. I would say this world needs more books like Narnia. That's what inspired me to set up this weekend's event. He rubbed his chin and tilted his head as he looked at her. Would you like to participate, since Narnia is the one and only fantasy story that's been part of your life? If nobody else, I'm sure the children of Volvo would appreciate it. She almost said no, but some part of her didn't want to cut the conversation off so soon. What would you have me do? Robert rubbed the bridge of his nose. Oh, I don't know. Wear a costume if you'd like to. I think you'd make a splendid dryad. You're a bit old to dress as Lucy. He gave her another grin and haggled his eyebrows, though I imagine you might like to, since it's your first name. The familiarity with which he treated her made her uncomfortable, but she couldn't explain why. It wasn't that he made her nervous. He didn't set her on edge. Quite the opposite, in fact. He made her want to what, Lucy? She asked herself. Trust men again? You see where that got you before. So she nodded seriously as she spoke. Speaking of children, do you have any of your own? No, Maggie and I tried but couldn't, though I think I'd like to try again someday. How about you? Do you have any kids? No, not at all. Married? She shook her head no, but vocalized for emphasis, never. What? Now it was his turn to flush a bit at the cheeks. Well, it's just that you're quite a striking woman. One of the most beautiful I've ever seen, in fact, though I didn't realize before now that it's completely natural. You don't wear makeup at all, do you? Almost never. Clearly, you don't need it. He seemed like a nice, trustworthy, highly intelligent man, but he's trying to get into my pants, like so many other men. She crossed her strong arms over her chest, unconsciously covering her breasts with the long sleeves of her uniform top. Nope, I don't need it. Wearing makeup sends the wrong message. Yes, I suppose you want to make it clear you're in charge, law enforcement, a serious position. Yes, but that's not all. It tells men, at least some of them, that I'm not interested. So does keeping my hair short. Oh, I see, he said softly. Then he eyed her hair. But your hair isn't that short. To the middle of your ears is a bit on the abbreviated side, but it could be much shorter. Yes, but that would send a different kind of signal to other people I'm not interested in. Well, I think that's a bit of a stereotype. A bit, she interrupted, but only a bit. I'll take your word for that, but by what you said, it seems you do have interest in men, or do you? His voice trailed off. Lucy felt a powerful urge at that moment to answer his question by kissing him. She would have never made it 20 years in the Army if she didn't know how to suppress urges. She didn't need him. She didn't need anyone. Yet still, she felt drawn to him. He seemed different than other men she'd known, a feeling that she'd had about him even when she first met him all those years ago, like someone she could really trust. She stood in that place for a long moment, looking at him, wondering what to say or do next. She never got the chance to find out what that would have been. Pops of what people without the experience of real-world weapons often mistook for firecrackers rattled the glass pane of the library door. Lucy knew exactly what they were. Gunfire. And that's it. That's the end.
All right. Thanks so much, Travis. Very well read, by the way. Even through the phone, it was very clear and very exciting.
Yeah.
And I like how you left us with a little cliffhanger or gunfire.
Yeah, I want to know what happens. Gunfire went off.
I know what happens. You know what happens. Anyway,
good choice of excerpt.
Hopefully the readers will find out what happens.
I have a couple questions for you concerning
Go ahead.
how you. You've really chosen a very interesting combination of characters here. You have a male librarian and a female sheriff. It's pretty tough. How did you come up with these guys?
Well, it's funny that, and I can't say how it works for other writers, but oftentimes characters and stories are inspired by real people, people that I've actually known. And I wound up a lot of times combining actual people with, together to make a character. So actually the basic idea of this couple comes from my mother, and my folks are divorced, but she remarried a guy who's got a doctorate in English. So the librarian character is much inspired by her husband, who also happens to have the first name of Robert with a different last name. But anyway, so this guy, his last name's Figgins, Dr. of English Figgins, who taught at Montana State University, as a matter of fact, English. He's the one that inspired the Robert Spencer character.
I see.
And then the other character, Lucy character, is kind of the opposite in a way, a bit like my mother, but I happened to run into somebody that I mentioned in the preface of my book in Great Falls, Montana. One time, I was like 19 years old. I was a young guy. I had a junky VW Beetle car that I had to push up the hill to get it to jump start, to get it start. And I pushed up the hill, and it ran down. I failed to start it. And I've been doing this quite a bit, and I was kind of tired. And I was pushing it up the hill, and a woman walked by. In Great Falls, Montana, which is where I was, have pretty significant minority population of Blackfoot Indian people. And a Blackfoot woman was walking by, and she's wearing cowboy hats and boots, and she was just a couple inches shorter of me. I'm 6 foot, a little bit over 6 foot tall, roughly 6'1", and she's just a couple inches shorter of me, around roughly 5'10". And she saw me pushing the car, and she offered to help me. And I said, "Oh, sure, you can, sure, go ahead and help me." And she started pushing the car so fast that I couldn't keep up with her, even though I was, and she pushed the car all the way up the hill. And I'm looking at this woman, and she wasn't, massively, like bulky person, but she's obviously muscular and strong, and she was pretty. And she was about 30 years old, and I'm about, 19, like I said. And I was attracted to her, to be honest with you, but I didn't have any clue of what to do. So I just stood there and looked at her, and she looked at me like a skinny, weak guy, and she walked away. So, but that person I saw once kind of also inspired this character and some other, things, elements I pulled from other places.
I am so glad you got to use that experience, which obviously made a huge impression on you as a template.
It did. I remember it all these years later, right? So, but anyway.
That's great. It's also, we can't use, or can we use the disclaimer, all references to characters living or dead were purely coincidental? I mean,
I don't ever use that disclaimer because it isn't true. I mean, it is what I mean, though, and this is true. I never mean any character to directly represent any real living person. Absolutely. But I'm always inspired by, real living people myself. I don't know about you guys, but
I'm that way
I suspect
too.
Many authors do that, but we don't want to say it for legal reasons.
And so many times the real characters they don't follow a logical character arc, where in literature we have to, it has to make sense. They can't just go do things out of character like we do every day.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Hey, I got
that's something that Mark Twain said, I think, right? That the biggest difference between fantasy and fiction is that fantasy has to be plausible, or fiction has to be plausible.
I didn't know that. That's good. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's
Mark Twain. Whenever you quote Mark Twain or Benjamin Franklin, you sound so much more knowledgeable,
intelligent,
and authoritative.
Right.
Hey, so this excerpt mentions Narnia, and that this Narnia festival is coming up in your book. But the fantasy character that you have that entangles with this couple is a faun. And it has a very unique personality. Can you tell us the faun's name and a little bit about him?
Yeah, Amudo is the faun that I named. And first of all, let me mention this thing I mentioned about my character. She read Narnia as a kid, loved it, and then she read The Last Battle and ended Narnia, and she felt a sense of mourning. Actually, that's exactly how I felt when I read Narnia. Though I did read other fantasy eventually, but I felt so sad when Narnia ended that I borrowed from myself for that particular feeling. But the character of the faun is supposed to or intended to remind Lucy of Mr. Tumnus, who is the faun from Narnia. But one of the things that's characterized my faun is he's really very jittery and tremendously afraid. And his character arc, he gains a little bit of courage, over the period of the time that he's around his characters. But mostly he's pretty terrified. So, but that's because the bad person from the fantasy world is very scary. But
yeah.
And the plot of your book, which I will not even hint at, but I'm going to say it is a really interesting story. It really adds a lot to the whole series as far as developing the overarching plot that goes through all 9 books. And and it's at a critical point. You're book number 4, so I think our readers out there and the people listening to us, and hopefully the people that are going to be joining us at Kaleidoscope this afternoon will be really, anyway.
Intrigued.
Lynn, they'll be intrigued. And Lynn has another question for you.
I do. Travis, tell us how we can buy this book.
Oh, that's a good one.
Well, it's on Amazon, and it's Amazon Prime. And so if you do a search for, Entangled with a Fawn or the Beyond the Veil and put in Travis Perry and a search, it'll come right up. There it is.
Okay. And that's TravisPerry.
Correct. That's me.
That is you.
And it's, I got to say that it was fun to write, but I hadn't written a romance story before, and it really was hard for me as primarily a science fiction and fantasy writer. But I actually felt that had a satisfying ending, and you don't always necessarily feel that way about your own work, but I feel like it did. So I would hope that the readers would also agree that this really actually, hey, that worked. Wow.
Yeah.
I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, Lynn and I both read it, and we agree. That was a really good ending.
It was. And so what? You got a little challenge. That's okay. Hey, I want to tell you something that Carrie actually passed on to me. You talked about Ben Franklin and that other guy that has a mustache.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ben Franklin once said, "Beer is proof that God loves us."
Did he really? Yeah. I didn't know that.
According to Carrie, he did.
I wonder if that's true.
According to Carrie, okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Travis, thanks so much for joining us on Right Time Radio. It's the bottom of the hour. We're going to break for a commercial. But, Travis, best of luck on that. And hopefully everybody will start buying the series. We've had a really good response so far, and want to keep that continuing.
Amen.
Thanks so much. Thanks for having me on.
All right. So stay tuned. We're going to go into the commercials, but when we come back, we're going to be talking to our next author for book number 5, and she is Parker J. Colt. Stay tuned.
Very famous romance author.
She
Listen to Edward Jones Financial Market Report weekday afternoons Monday through Friday on 1400 Caroline with Brad Nifong. For more information, you can contact Brad at Edward Jones, 275-7576, or stop by his office today at 826 Main Street in Canyon City. It's the Edward Jones Financial Market Report, brought to you by Brad Nifong of Edward Jones. Edward Jones, member SIPC. Check out their website at edwardjones.com.
Tune in weekdays to Star Country in the 6 o'clock hour for the Senior Minute. Useful whether you are a senior or not. These minute segments are meant to improve your life and lifestyle. Messages range from health and wellness to practical and positive solutions. All brought to you each week by Skyline Ridge Nursing and Rehabilitation Center. Getting to know and treat our seniors individually and as independently as possible. Call for more information, 275-0665. Again, that's 275-0665.
In the martial art called Judo, the defender uses the force of the aggressor to defeat the aggressor. Dr. Michael Ziegler says that's what God did at the cross of Jesus. He performed spiritual Judo. Learn about God's merciful martial art this week on The Lutheran Hour.
The Lutheran Hour is brought to you by St. John's Lutheran Church in Canyon City. Listen Sunday mornings at 8 a.m. here on 1400 KRLN.
KRLN weather, sunny and breezy today. West winds at 10 to 15 this afternoon. The high today around 50. Mostly clear and breezy tonight, the low near 24. Sunny, warmer, and breezy tomorrow, the high around 60. 21 was our low this morning after a high of 51 yesterday. 51 was the state high. Now at the Weather Center, 41 degrees.
Radio 1400 KRLN.
Welcome back to Right Time Radio. I'm Tom Bruno standing here next to Lynn Donovan.
Hey, Tom, how are you?
Hey.
Happy New Year, Tom.
Happy New Year, Lynn, and all our listeners. On the phone, we have waiting Parker J. Call, but I would like to say before we start getting into the interview with Parker J. that we really appreciate our sponsor, Fremont Regional Hospice.
Yes.
They have allowed us to be on the air for 3/4 of a year now.
Yeah.
So thank you very much, Fremont Regional.
Thank you, Fremont.
Parker J. Cole, are you there?
I certainly am.
All right. Well, hi. We really love Parker J. She is a very well-published author of romance novels, whereas Travis was mostly science fiction and fantasy. But Parker J's, how many books you got on Amazon?
25 so far.
Holy cow.
I know.
And she is a great natural, well, I don't know if I shouldn't say natural writer. She does work hard at it.
Of course.
Yeah. But we really love your stuff. And thank you for sending in this excerpt, which you're going to read in a couple minutes. I want to introduce it, okay?
Sure.
Okay. So, Entangled by a Cyclops is book 5 of the Beyond the Veil series. So we're well into things. Each book is a romance in itself, and of course has a fantasy character that is involved. In the love interests here, and you're going to see this quite obviously with Parker's hot writing, is Minnie Wong, or Minerva Wong, and she's a computer programmer, and Joshua Dennison, and he's a janitor. So it's interesting how these guys get together, which we're going to see in a second. And your fantasy character is a female Cyclops. Isn't that fascinating?
That is so cool.
Do you want to reveal the name, Parker, or should we just let him buy the book?
Oh, her name is Bilag, if I'm saying it correctly, and it's from a druidess from Irish mythology. And she helped save one of the children from one of the gods, one of the demons from Irish mythology. So I thought she would be a really cool character to introduce into the series.
Yes, and now
Cool.
you might not get to see her in this, but you'll get hints of her.
Yeah.
All right. Are you ready, Parker J?
I certainly am.
All right. Take it away.
What was it that came out of the fissure? She slammed her hand on the space beside the keyboard and dragged her fingers through her long, dark hair. Her scalp tingled from the deep scratch of her nails. She couldn't erase it, couldn't get out of her mind. After the explosion in the lab, something came out the fissure. Something tall, something huge, something inhuman. No. She jumped up from the desk and paced in a circle. There was nothing there, just a trick of the eye. The silence in the office mocked her. Minerva sighed and leaned her hip against the desk. The chaos from earlier in the day had finally eased up, but still it lingered like the heavy drizzle of rain after a hurricane. The higher-ups continued the ongoing investigation into the incident. Under the command of Director Stettler, most of the personnel had vacated the premises immediately after the explosion. Minerva meant to obey. No one challenged Director Stettler unless they had a very short life expectancy. She'd gone back to her cubicle to collect her things and couldn't leave. Shock and fear had seized her body with a vice-like grip, holding her captive in the vacant office. What was that thing? How could it move so fast? Minerva wished she had a rational, reasonable explanation. Fog had filled the cavity of the lab after the explosion. Where had the fog come from? So perhaps in all the pandemonium, don't lie to yourself, Minnie. You know you saw something, and it definitely wasn't human. A voice came out of nowhere. Lies feel so much better, though, don't they? Minerva bolted upright and scanned the dark room. Who's there? The pulse at the base of her throat pounded like a piston. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to scare you. Human. A human voice. Instantly, she shook her head. Of course it was a human voice. Who else? What else could it be? Who is that? Something moved from the corner of the room. A dark shadow that came forward into the low light. She gulped, remembering the unnerving shadow she'd seen in the lab when all calamity unfolded. For, of course, the shadow had a bulky, hulking quality to it. Still had the same silent tread as if it glided along the floor. The more the shadow came into view, she saw it was a man with shoulders twice the size of hers. Hefty. She could probably sit on one of them and still have wiggle room. When the low light landed on his beard, she let out a pent-up sigh. Joshua, you scared the living daylights out of me. Sorry, Miss Wong, Joshua Dennison said with an apologetic lift of his shoulder. He stepped fully into the light, her eyes skid over his broad frame. The dark blue janitorial uniform with its bell patch on the left breast pocket stretched across his chest. I didn't mean to frighten you. Minerva rubbed at her temples, feeling the beginning throb of a headache. Don't worry about it. He came closer. What are you doing here so late, Miss Wong? She arched an eyebrow. I could ask you the same thing. Joshua tugged on his ginger red beard. I was hiding, Miss Wong. She stopped massaging her temples. You were? From what? His hand dropped down to his sides and framed his bulging, muscular thighs. I don't know. When everything went straight to heck, I thought I saw something pass by. The breath left her lungs in a whoosh. What did you think you saw? Joshua's chocolate brown eyes looked down into her own, reflecting the same unease inside of herself. Something big. Something ain't right. Minerva clamped her hand over his hair-roughened arms. I did too. His eyes widened. It moved so fast, I wasn't sure. I thought I was just seeing things. Joshua, I thought the same thing. I thought I was going crazy. Then we both caught a crazy germ, Miss Wong. Her lips curved into a tiny smile. Maybe. Without conscious thought, she rubbed his forearm back and forth. The warmth of his skin burned her palm and spread throughout her in a delicious way. They made the tension leave her like a hot bubble bath. So you've been hiding all this time? Something like that. His eyes strayed to her hair, then lingered on it. One of the other janitors got sick halfway through his shift, so I accepted the offer to do a double shift. I should have refused. He reached out and lifted the ends of her hair off her shoulder. For a moment, Minerva froze. Why was he touching her hair? Furthermore, why wasn't she disturbed by it? They never had a casual conversation, just the barest exchange of polite nothing. Her bewilderment increased as she stood by and let him caress her hair. Why wasn't she bothered by it? And why was she starting to like it?
Ooh la la, Parker, you are a romance writer deluxe.
Yep.
Listen, I want to tell the listeners where you, not your address, but where you live. Where are you calling from?
I am calling from the lovely city of Detroit, Michigan, where every day is a good day.
That's right. Hello, Detroit. You are our furthest north author on this series.
Oh, thank you. I really feel like I'm honored.
I know.
Is there an
Here's your
award for the
flowers.
furthest-
Here's your corsage.
Thank
yes.
you. Thank you so much.
Listen,
to the
I
little
wanted-
people out there.
Oh my goodness, yes, the locals, our little Colorado locals. She's been here to visit, guys, so she knows exactly what everything
Yeah, she
looks
came
like.
out to podcast Lynn's play. The
She
Haunted
did,
Java.
Haunted Java, back in February.
That was so much fun.
I do want to ask you a couple of questions. We love the way you showed the attraction between the couple, Minerva and Joshua. But I'm wondering why. I mean, obviously she's confused about why she's liking it so much. What's going on? No, don't answer that. Don't answer that. We need to leave that for the readers to find out, don't we?
Yeah. But you find
Because
out.
This book is so good. Now, you're publishing in about 3 weeks, right? Or 2
I
weeks?
certainly am on the 21st of January. I'm publishing. Just finish it up. Actually, hopefully today I'll send it over to you guys for your very excellent critique services.
All right. That's right. That's what Tom and I do. Excellent critiques.
We try to be gentle because, Parker, I think you know that Lynn and I are in a writer's group together. So I've had times where she's just blasted my writing, and then times where she likes it, finally, after several rewrites.
Well, I'm kind, though. I'm not awful. It's just sometimes there's a whole lot of red ink on the page.
And boy, being an author, it's tough to take critique, but it's absolutely necessary, or you just don't get better.
It makes you a better writer.
Yeah.
So, Parker, this is going to be available on Amazon, and we forgot to mention when Travis was on, it's also going to be available if you're a KU reader, meaning a Kindle Unlimited reader. You get the book for free because you've already paid your monthly dues to have that. And this entire series is available that way. So if you're a KU reader, you're going to love the fact that you can get this in about 2 weeks. Tell us, how does your fantasy character entangle with this couple? Because we know it's a Cyclops. We know it's a female Cyclops. So tell us how that works out.
Well, the female Cyclops' name is Barag, and what she sees is ribbons of color emanating from these characters. And so she's able to manipulate these ribbons of color because she has that ability. And as she manipulates them, she sees this strange color that she's never really seen before. She could identify it, but it's unlike anything she's ever seen. And so as she tugs on this ribbon of color with her fingers, kind of like a knitter. She's manipulating the emotions of our characters. That's why I call it Tangled.
Wow.
And then, I knit. And so knitting was a huge part of this because I could see her start to weave things and knit things, slip knit, flip pearl knit,
Bring
flip pearl
them
knit, yarn
together,
over,
yeah.
things like that. So
Cool.
I started to see that. So that's why I really went with the ribbons of color and her manipulating those ribbons of color because everything's so threaded together. Their emotions are threaded together. They get it tangled. And what happens if you get a knot? So lots of good things constantly happening with this couple. I'm very excited for her.
Yeah. And the one that she's seeing that she's not familiar with, I'm guessing is love, since that's not allowed in their other world, correct?
Yeah. And then I'm going to give a sneak peek to our listeners out there. There is a second love story in this story as well. But that's all I'm going to tell you. There's a second love story, too. That's concurrent to our main one.
Okay.
I
guess we'll leave that alone so the readers have to get the book to find out what that is.
Yes, but I love the creative process. The things you come up with, Ms. Parker, I think it's fascinating even in myself. I just don't know where some of these ideas come from, except that I have to be in the shower.
Yeah. He has a magic box called a shower that he gets all of his ideas. So.
Yeah, but Parker,
man.
It's just amazing.
Parker will put twists on stories that I would have never come up with, and that's why I love writing with her, because really she will just take a simple idea and turn it into an amazing story.
And all woven together like knitting.
Like knitting, yeah. So I encourage
appreciate
everybody to go to Amazon and do a search for Parker J. Cole, because like she said, she's got 25 books out there, and you won't go wrong by picking any one of them because they're amazing. She even wrote a few sci-fi, didn't you? How many sci-fi
sure
did you write?
Well, I wrote like 2 short stories. Oh, wait. Yeah, I wrote 2 short stories for anthologies. One is called God Forsaken, and then one is called The Door to Wishes. And then I wrote my first space opera sci-fi romance called The House of Hathaway, which is a fairy tale retelling of a classic fairy tale. I won't tell you what it is because it's totally interwoven throughout the story. And that was a fun project. I just love it because it combines my love of Star Trek, fantasy, romance, sci-fi, Mars, all in one book.
So it's an even bigger mashup than the Beyond the Veil series.
I know, right?
I thought we were the first one to do that.
I love
we
it.
weren't. Okay, Parker, thank you so much for calling in.
Yeah, thanks, Parker. It's always
Happy
great
New
talking to you.
Year.
Happy New Year.
Yes, thank you. And we're going to go to commercial, and we'll be back with Britt Mooney, which is also, he publishes under M.B. Mooney, and we'll have him read his excerpt, and we'll interview him as well. Thanks, Parker. Bye.
Bye.
Hey, Parker, you still there?
Do you own a small business in Fremont County? City Auto Plaza's Business Link and on-the-job programs are the right move for the road ahead. Get the royal treatment on your next Ram truck or ProMaster with huge discounts and allowances. Let the royal treatment continue with amazing service and parts perks. First in line every time, special labor and parts rates, plus extended service hours, just to name a few. Best of all, it's free to sign up. Call City Auto Plaza today at 275-2329.
Millions of people depend on the Arkansas River downstream of Canyon City. We depend on it every day. Each and every one of us can help keep our waterways clean. Visit the Stormwater Division's webpage on the City of Canyon City's website to learn what you can do and listen for tips on this radio station. If you would like more information, call the City of Canyon City Stormwater Program at 276-5265. This message is brought to you by the City of Canyon City Stormwater Management Program.
We are back with Right Time Radio, and we'd like to take a real quick second again to thank Fremont Regional Hospice for sponsoring our show. Guys, we are so appreciative that you allow us to be on the air. And now, our 5th author, M.B. Mooney. Hi, Brett.
What is up, guys?
What is up?
Hey, Brett.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year.
Where are you calling?
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Where are you calling from?
I am calling from the Atlanta area in Georgia. Technically Sewanee. That's right.
The wonders of modern science.
Swanee. Is that what the river?
Yeah.
Isn't that the river that was the song? Swanee River?
There was a song with that river, but
that's not where you are.
Here. I don't know where they got the name from.
Oh, okay.
Here I am.
All right.
Well, this is very cool. We've
so
got,
excited to have you on the show.
Yeah, we've got authors. I mean, all 5 of us got to be on this show today.
We did. We talked to Travis and Parker, and now you. We saved the best for last. I'll have you know that.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
Thank
just
you.
smack us in the face. Parker and Travis going to hear this.
Okay, listen, I'm going to introduce the story, and then he's going to read his excerpt. So here we go. His story is number 6, right? And it is called Entangled with a Golem. His main characters are Casey Kim, who is a waitress in a coffee shop. She's a barista. And Sebastian Stone, who is head of security out at the Vail facility. But I need to also let you know that there's a character named Jimmy, who is the coffee shop owner. That's correct, right, Britt?
Yeah, that's
Jimmy's
right.
the coffee shop owner. Okay, so I just needed to tell you that because he's mentioned in here, but you don't exactly know who he is because it was mentioned earlier in the story, and this excerpt comes out of chapter 4. So take it away, Britt.
All right. Casey Kim tried not to cringe sometimes when her boss talked. He really wasn't a bad guy. Annoying, yes, but not a bad guy. The shop was busier than normal. Over the last couple of weeks, with the rumors of strange creatures in the woods and around the town, and a government scientific facility nearby, it has struck a nerve with the conspiracy theorists. While the media outlets had left a few days ago, the more serious alien chasers remained, full of their own wild ideas. Sebastian had been correct earlier. It was like a perfect storm of crazy and stupid. With local channels and obscure papers around the town taking pictures, it was difficult to duck and cover and keep herself out of any of them. She refused to direct requests for a picture, and since her radar for strangers was well developed, she could hide behind the large espresso machine if they ever came in the shop, which they did. Jabba the Hutt had been in an unofficial headquarters. She had moved to Nowhere, Colorado from Atlanta over 2 years ago on purpose to get away from large groups and the fast-paced lifestyle and more. The sudden attention on the town made her very uncomfortable. Like Sebastian's misguided attempt to engage her in conversation every morning, the broad shoulders and military haircut also made her want to roll her eyes, but she managed to be cordial despite his stiff army walk. Jimmy himself was not immune to the temptation of speculation. He stood near a table at the front window, speaking to a man with a colorful T-shirt that said, "I'm not saying it was alien, but it was alien." But the sightings, all the creatures, they don't look like little green men, Jimmy said. People are talking about a freaking cyclops and a fawn, even fairies. Shaw, the T-shirt guy said. His name was Lester. People have been watching too much Lord of the Rings, and that Narnia festival didn't help. True, Jimmy the Star Wars geek nodded. The 2 other men at the table also agreed. Lester was just getting started, changing his voice to a high, mocking tone. "Oh, we like the Hobbit, so we're going to make a short little book into 3 movies that are 8 hours each." His voice went back to normal, not really less annoying, and said fiercely, "All the fantasy crap is hurting people's brains. Who said the aliens need to be little green men? Aliens could be anything. And hey, maybe the myths of those fantasy creatures and all the literature weren't magical. Maybe they were alien contact, and since humans were in the crappy Middle Ages, they thought that science was like magic." "It happens," Jimmy said. "Makes sense." And now they're back. Lester waved around the shop. Here in Colorado. They wouldn't show up around a big city with all the people, Jimmy said. "No, they want to study us, but they don't want to be seen." Lester upended his mug. "Here in this town, remote, but with enough people to observe. And who knows, maybe this great coffee shop with all the spaceships makes them feel like a home." He chuckled. "And the weed is legal. Who wouldn't want to hang out here?" Jimmy smiled. "But what happens when all the people show up? That would scare them off, right?" Lester shrugged. "It probably did, I mean, there hasn't been as many sightings over the last few days, at least not that we know of. True, Jimmy said. That's why some of us stayed. Lester lowered his voice like someone was listening. They'll show up again, and maybe we can get pics. But wouldn't that bring more people, Jimmy said. We have the pics, though. Lester lifted his white mug. And Craig here, he said he saw one. Jimmy scoffed. He did? One of the men at the table grinned wide. Must be Craig. Oh, yeah, Lester said. A big one. And we're going out to look for it.
Oh, that was great. I love that. I want one of those T-shirts, Brad. I think we need to have those T-shirts made and pass around to our readers and all that stuff.
We should, yeah.
Also, this makes me think I want to put some aluminum foil on my head.
We should get a picture of all of us with aluminum foil on our head.
Oh, that'd be funny.
Totally. And we could Photoshop it so it looks like we're all together.
That's right.
That would be so much fun. No, this was great. And I'm going to let Tom ask you a few questions about it.
Okay, you ready? It's going to be drill time.
Sure.
Okay. No.
It's a test.
Yeah, this was actually a great scene. Good choice. It doesn't show the monster, but he's in the title, the Golem. Do you want to talk a little bit about your creature and how he gets entangled with these reluctant lovers?
So, I don't know how much you guys have talked about the overall story with the villain and the other world, but he was sent over from the other world, created by the big bad person that we have.
Yeah, keep it secret.
And so, it's a secret. Is it a secret?
So far still secret.
Oh, okay. But he was sent over to kind of to get some of these magical creatures back, like the Golem and the Fawn and some of the ones that kind of came before. And in the process, he gets entangled with these characters. First Casey Kim, and then Sebastian Stone. And because he is a golem, and a golem is kind of made up of different parts, right? Like he's made out of the earth, or he's made out of clay, or he's made out of
stone,
kind of like a Frankenstein kind of character. He becomes very interested in first of all Casey overcoming some of her fears, and then Sebastian because Sebastian has a prosthetic leg of his own, and so he becomes very interested in these characters and just like some of the other stories, what love is and how that develops. And so that's kind of how he kind of gets involved.
Cool. Well, listen, tell us, when does your book come out?
Mine is supposed to come out February the 11th.
Oh, cool. Right before Valentine's Day.
That's right.
A romance right before Valentine's.
Speaking of romance, we have one more question.
Yes, I'll get to that. But, I was just thinking, they better start catching up on the series. If somebody hasn't started reading the series, they got to go back to book 1 of Beyond the Veil. And that one is just the prologue book. It's very cheap on Amazon. I think it's 99 cents.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get into the rest of them. Each one is only $2.99. All available on Amazon. So just look for Beyond the Veil, and then of course the series authors. We're talking to M.B. Mooney in Atlanta, or near there, Swanee.
Yeah, Swanee, Georgia.
And then Thomas J. Bruno is what I go by on that, and Lynn Donovan, Travis Perry, and Parker J. Cole. Last question here. For the $64,000, why a waitress and a head of security? That seems like such a weird combination.
That's a good question. I wanted to do a connection with the Golem and someone with the Veil facility, and so I wanted him to have a military background, and I thought head of security. So I kind of wanted to explore some of those characteristics. And then for me, since I'm kind of involved in some coffee, I work for coffee.
Oh, yeah.
A coffee company. I just thought, well, who would he encounter in town? I wanted to kind of do a crossover between someone in town and someone at the facility. And I was like, well, who would he encounter in town?
Yeah, and he goes...
I just kind of thought a barista would be something I would know a little bit about.
And Britt, your story is so fun.
Yes, it
your
is.
writing style is really light, and even this scene, we've got all these alien chasers talking to the coffee shop owner. You know what? I think we have time if we can be brief on the answer, which you might not be able to. Well, you usually write lots of different things, but how was writing romance?
I really like romance. It was a little bit of a transition and an adjustment to have the story focused on romance. I think for a lot of us, we write romance in our stories, even as guys,
Yeah. We think it's romance.
I think they do.
Yeah.
Are the station managers also laughing? Guys don't know how to write romance.
Sure.
But you should hear the hot scenes that Britt's got in here.
Oh, whatever.
We'll see. And the first book that I wrote was more of a romance. It was a little bit of a kind of a coming of age story, romance kind of thing. So I've always enjoyed the romantic elements of stories and those kind of things. But it was an adjustment writing more focused on romance, and I enjoyed it. I mean, for me it was fun, and I enjoyed it. Hopefully people who are more in the romance genre will like it.
I think they will.
Yep,
I do.
I do too.
I actually like the idea that you're crossing all these genres together.
Exactly.
I think that's the way real life is. So
Exactly. Yeah.
And Britt, that's our station manager there, Carrie Jacobs.
We have readers that are following us that are romance readers, and we have readers following us that are fantasy readers.
And some sci-fiers,
and
too.
some sci-fiers.
Yeah,
It's real interesting to see who our readers are. All right. Well, thank you so much for calling in, Britt.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Thank you, guys.
Happy New Year, guys.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to Georgia.
And if you want to find out more about these guys, we'll talk to you at Kaleidoscope today at 5 o'clock.
That's
We'll
right.
be there signing books.
will.
So if you want to know about these famous writers like M.B. Mooney and Parker J. Cole and Travis Perry, we know a little bit. Parker's one of Lynn's best friends.
She is.
Yeah.
She's a very good friend. She's my sister from another mister.
Oh, brother.
She labeled us that, by the way.
All right.
Well, listen, I can't wait to see everybody at Kaleidoscope. You bring in your pen, right, Tom?
Yes.
Good.
That'd be good.
Awesome.
Somebody will steal it. That'd be
No,
okay.
they won't. Oh, yeah.
I stole Tom Bruno's pen.
Ah, yay.
Okay. Hey, so we'll be there at Kaleidoscope 5 o'clock. Come for some free snacks and to check out all the things that Kaleidoscope highlights, I guess.
Yeah.
Showcases is the word I was looking for.
Right.
Also, if you want to be on Right Time Radio, either as a voice actor or we are always looking for authors.
Always.
And we're looking for a special script for Right Time Radio for a radio drama. So please get a hold of us if you would like to work with us and develop a radio drama script.
How can they do that, Tom?
Call us, email us at righttimeradio@gmail.com. That's WRITE, righttimeradio@gmail.com.
gmail.com. That's right. That's where we are.
And you can also hit us on our website, which is
righttimeradio.my-free.website.
awesome. Thanks, Lynn. Thank you, Carrie,
Thank you,
for having us
Tom.
on.
Thanks, Carrie.
All right, and
You're welcome. I was pushing buttons.
all right, and thanks to our authors
hands
for
are
calling
busy.
in. You guys did great.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Got
I hope
them all over the
I hope the
country.
listeners loved today's shows because I sure did.
Yeah, it was good. Well coordinated, Lynn.
Yeah, thanks. Next week.
We'll be back next week at 10 o'clock. Thanks for listening.
Hot, delicious sandwiches, the freshest salads, the coldest beer. Pizza Madness, 509 Main Street. 1400 AM KRLN, Canyon City, Pueblo.